Thank you, Chair. I've had apologies from Councillor Johnson, but Councillor Hebb is in a substitution place today.
Thank you for that. And this time I'll actually press the button. Item 2, to approve the committee meeting of the 7th of February and the 10th of February, pages 5 to 8. Are there any corrections or any amendments to that? None. Thank you. So they're moved and approved. I shall sign them after the meeting. Item 3, items of urgent business. I've not received any items of urgent business for the meeting this evening. Item 4, excuse me, declarations of interest. Has any member got any declarations of interest in relation to any of the matters we'll be deciding this evening? So that's a no all the way down. Then moving on to item 5, amendments to the Constitution that can be found on page 9 through to 96. We were expecting Councillor Howden to be here this evening. Unfortunately, due to an error, he's not been notified that he was going to be here this evening, so he's going to check to see what's happened with that. So, Matt, if you'd like to go forward with what's here, obviously, I think we've got members of the Constitutional Working Group here, so we can just verify that through them as we go forward. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Chair. I don't plan to talk long. The report outlines the recommendations that were or represent the outcomes of the first Constitution Working Group meeting, which happened at the end of March. As you can see from the report and detailed in 2.4, 17 recommendations are being made by the CWG. These would be described as local choice. They're things that the council members have the power and ability to change within the Constitution. 5 suggestions were identified as non-constitutional items, but members agreed some forms of action which officers are going to take away and progress. 5 suggestions the CWG identified as slightly more complex. We had a very long meeting that night. I think we finished just after 10 o'clock. And we agreed that we would come back. There was a bit more research needed on some of them, a bit more debate, I think, between members. So that represented 5 of the items that were raised, and 5 items were rejected. So bringing you back to the recommendations which reflect those discussions, it's useful to note that there are 2 recommendations there that are consequential, what we call consequential amendments to the Constitution. That's 1.1 M and 1.1P, and it's just really to note that those amendments represent changes in the law, so the Constitution is just keeping up to date with the things that we need to do by legislation. And I think really that was all I was going to say. I think just really to finish off by saying that the 5 issues that CWG decided needed more debate are going to return to another meeting which we're going to organise in very early August. I think it's the 2nd or 3rd of August, and they will be reported on in due course. And of course, following GSC's discussion tonight, this report will be progressed to full council at the end of this month for the council to agree. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Any specific questions before moving to general discussion? None? Any general discussion? None? Councillor? So just for clarity, that's page 88, top table, middle row, end column. Now reads competitively advertised tendering in accordance with advice from procurement services and legal services, removing the word and finance.
Yeah, Councillor, I'm not able to answer that tonight. The additions or the changes that were made to this particular page, the contract procedure rules, were made by the contracts team, and I know they were signed off by our solicitor in the department that deals with the contracts, our procurement solicitor. If I may, I'll refer back to my legal colleagues on that for clarity, and I'll send you an email tomorrow. I'll send the committee just to clarify why the particular and finance was released.
I'll be honest, I just assumed it was the level of money that was involved. But when you look at the amount above, which is 5.3 million, it's still quite a significant amount. So, yes, definitely clarification. Sorry, Councillor Warren, any others?
Where we are right now?
Yep. Well, all it was just clarities on any questions,
Okay.
which may stop further discussion. Okay, I've got now again similar to the way the Councillor Warren raised something. That we get the first one. Apologies, many tabs. Now, I think these are some of those are those that you've already covered, Matt, with those that we're having further discussions, things like the establishment of the business board and clarity regarding security of members' emails account. I think that's actually quite an important one that's been clarified. But the ambiguities where we've had to discuss these in the past, for instance, page 29, and it may just be because the way it's lined through as well. So 3.2. Which is the ordinary meeting. It's now replaced the chief executive with the mayor and so on. May council postpone an ordinary meeting prior to the issue of public notice where the meeting, of the meeting where after consultation with the now chief executive, she considers that it's insufficient business to transact, etc., etc., etc. This is one of those where we've had to discuss this before. Who is that he or she? Is it the mayor or is it the chief exec? I think changing that from a he to she to the title of the individual. So if it's the mayor, obviously to the mayor, or whatever. And I think there's an extra and in as the last of that sentence as well. That paragraph. May postpone any ordinary meeting and hold a meeting on a date to be agreed with the mayor or deputy mayor after consultation with group leaders rather than and after consultation with the group leaders. That's one. And actually, it's pretty much the same thing on page 55, 1.3. The chair, vice chair, blah, 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 in consultation with the monitoring officer, she considers, just specify the title rather than the being gender specific. Then that way we know it's the one or the other. So I don't have to keep on phoning up whenever it gets to this point and saying, does this mean the chief exec or does this mean the mayor or whatever?
Yes, Chair, that's something we can draft. Yeah, that's not a problem to clarify.
Okay, thank you. So those minor corrections. Open to debate. I'm looking down at Councillor Worrell, but I see Councillor Kent's hand up first. Thanks, Councillor. It's a really good point. You know, if this was a Ripper investigation or something, someone would have to sign this off. So if this was a full investigation into members of public wrongdoing and so on, there's a set of rules for that. And equally, there should be a set of rules whether that notification be retrospective because it needed to be retrospective solely because of the ongoing investigation. And I can't see any reason why anyone wouldn't want to say, and it was signed off by the monitoring officer or the chief executive or for these reasons, pretty much like an ED2. We sign them off with reasons. I can't see any point why this shouldn't be exactly the same. So I'll second that if it needs to be seconded to go back for further proper enshrining, point 1.1 wherever it needs to sit in the member officer code of conduct. I think probably where it would probably sit best, but definitely to have that. It's the same. Obviously, when you become an officer, you're assured that that's everything that's in there is only monitored for the purposes of making sure it complies with the council's rules, and beyond that, it's a private matter. So I don't see why that shouldn't be the same for us. So definitely, if that has to amend at the front end, if we can put that amendment in the front end, if not, just amend on the sheet.
Yeah, I think what we could probably do is we can take that back. We've got the meeting in August. We can just take that back as the suite of points we need to discuss. So that's not an issue at all. Yeah, I'm happy for the steer as well.
Probably might.
Certainly, and I'm thinking way back, so I'm going to get the date wrong, so I'm not going to mention any particular date, but I know when we looked at scrutiny and things before, that we actually burst out into other local authorities to see what they were doing and the way that they were structured and so on, because I remember there was some that said, we can't go there, it's too far, it's too close, it was some random stuff that was going on. I know, yeah, but this is Southend. Yeah, I know a few of us went up to Barking and Dagenham to see how they did. They conducted full council, I think it was, and we went up to see that. So and that was years and years ago. And also, I think if you're going to get the report and it's going to be in depth and you're going to want to ask questions, let's not get it 5 days before. I'm saying us, those sitting on the CWG.
And those people that took part in that, we all gave our evening up.
Yeah.
It was cross-party. access.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I was just waiting. I've looked down. I'm thinking, why are your red lights not on? And I just
You
noticed
didn't
it was
have it,
actually you didn't have one, and also what I was looking at was actually John's glasses case. So I do apologise. I desperately need new glasses again. Yeah, press it harder, John. Thank you.
I've finished now anyway. I'd just like that report. Thank you.
Again, good points, well made.
Yeah, thank you.
Councillor Massey, anything to add? You've got one.
I generally agree with what everyone said. I fully support Councillor Kent about the email privacy as well. I think it's good what the working group have come back with so far. I know it's a work in progress and it's going to go forward again in August, but I think the increase in the minutes as well and the full council having an extra half an hour, I think that's really good. There's often been times where people haven't had a chance to have things on the agenda put to full council, so I think that's all already positive. And the officers have explained about some of the things that I was going to ask regarding the contracts and the licensing. So, yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Any other member looking across? No, none. Okay. So obviously we've some. I won't say further recommendations. Some points that need to be not only clarified but put in. So with that, with the corrections and the promise of getting things to members on CWG in plenty of time, not just 5 days. I know it was like last time that come, and you were literally ringing round on the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to other leaders and other councillors trying to find out how it operated, and you weren't even getting calls back in time. So if you can get sort of a couple of weeks, that'd be great. Okay, with that, we've got a number of recommendations. On page 9 and 10 and 11. So with my voice going already, I don't really going to go through all of those. But as all members have read them, are they happy to be moved as read with the amendments as we've proposed? Agreed?
Yep.
Agreed. Excellent. All agreed. So now move on to the next item, which is the long listing. But before we move on to the long listing, there's a request here because there's personal information that there's exclusion of the public and press from this item. So with that, are all members in agreement? John?
Yeah, in agreement, but neither of us are going to be able to make the subsequent meetings, so we're going to leave now.
Okay. No, absolutely fine. Thank you.
Read any of it, so
Yeah. I'm saying I've read the online and printed, but no, that's absolutely fine. If you give if you've got, leave them there. That's fine.